Systems shouldn't get in our way. They should help us do our job, but learning those tools can feel heavier than it should. Too many topics, too many best practices, especially in the ever-changing Atlassian ecosystem. Not here. You're tuned in to the only frequency that doesn't crash your spirits or your Jira board. Atlassian Learning Simplified. Welcome to Hean.tech. Hean.tech for your learning needs. Hean.tech. Less noise, more clarity. Hean.tech. Fix the system, fix the flow. Hean.tech. Ready, let's go!
All right, folks. Welcome to this Earn the Rovo Fundamental Certificate. My name is Rob. We're going to go through everything we need to know about this certification or this certificate so we can take this exam by the end of this. So it's going to start from nothing. I won't assume we know anything about Rovo. We're going to go through every skill, every topic, everything that you'll find on the exam. And then we'll have time at the end to take this together. So that's the neat thing about certificates offered by Atlassian. They're open book. They're not proctored. So you can take this with a friend. You can take this with the notes open and all that. So today we're going to go through all of the training that Atlassian offers for this. These are free training resources I'll show you. I will use those and a hands-on demonstration environment to show you all the stuff about Rovo. Keep in mind, this is intended for beginners. So this certificate is not for administrators necessarily. There's other information I can share about that, but this is intended for folks using Rovo on a day-to-day basis. And we have people from all over the world, which is absolutely amazing. I'm seeing North America, we've got Europe, we've got Africa, we've got Asia. I've got 4 continents in here. I doubt we'd get anyone from Australia or New Zealand. But I've dropped a poll in the chat. Respond with a 1, 2, or 3 to vote. And how familiar are you with Rovo? A 1, just a 1, nothing else. You're very familiar. A 2, a bit. 3, what's Rovo? Now, I can only do 1 vote at a time, so you can't vote for multiple options. I'll have different quizzes pop up, and you can't have any other text on the line. So Brian and Gisela got it so far. Just the number is how you'll be able to vote. And welcome if you're watching me on the vertical stream. This will be on both horizontal and vertical. It's being recorded. It'll be on YouTube. We'll go through everything we can. It's also over on LinkedIn. So if you're joining me from LinkedIn, welcome. All right. I'm liking this poll response so far, seeing a bit. That's why I'm doing this, folks. And that's why Atlassian made this certificate. So we're going to jump on in and just start talking about Rovo. Again, I won't assume you know anything about it. For those of you who have said very familiar or even a bit familiar, please use the chat, jump on in and share your knowledge. This is a really important thing for me that folks are comfortable sharing what they know about Rovo. And that's because, you know, you'll go away from this with as much information as I can give you, and then you'll have more questions. And learning how to share what you know is really important. If you're on YouTube, I've dropped in a Q&A to try and capture questions. So please drop your questions under that Q&A. It should be a separate menu in your chat. I'll be keeping an eyeball on that just to keep questions separate from general chat. Now, this is a live session, so I will be talking to folks in the audience. I will be interacting a bit, but our main focus is in the next hour and 20 minutes or so to get through everything we need to know about the certificate, and then we're all going to go take it. So hopefully by the end of this, we'll get some people who have earned their ACH by the end of this. Again, it's free to take, entirely open notes. Quick introduction though, my name is Rob. I'm a content creator. I work for myself. So from time to time, I'll just give you ways you can help support me. The easiest is hit the thumbs up button on this or subscribe to the channel. There's also a goal I've got going on. If we meet that goal, I'll have a more advanced version of this. I'll put together a certificate for more advanced Rovo stuff. But easiest way to support me, hit the thumbs up button. That's it. All right, we're going to get started. We are going to use this page. I'm going to copy this link. And so far, 2/3 of us are not very familiar with Rovo. Again, that is perfect. Where is chat? Jitendra Moore, you found it wherever you were chatting. And I'll see if I can, I don't know how I can share where the QA is. There should be a bar along the bottom that's, that has QA. I'll try and grab it and just show you real quick. This might, of course, there's an ad. We'll just pause that. Down at the bottom of the chat, you should see this bar. It says QA, drop your questions here. And that's where you can drop questions. So if you've got questions, look way at the bottom. Click this open, and then you can put questions in here when you chat instead of in general chat. It'll make it easier for me to find them. I'm trying this out on YouTube. It can be a little bit challenging for me to keep track of them, so I'll do my best to find them. And I'll remind folks from time to time, try to use this Q&A feature. It'll just make it easier to find questions. All right. If you can't find it, if you're frustrated though, just drop them in chat. And I see folks in the vertical stream as well. Put those in chat. I'll do my best to catch them. I already have someone sharing how they use Rovo. I love this. Tarunson, extensively to create work items and subtasks in a sprint. I use Rovo to improve descriptions, acceptance criteria, and agenic Rovo. We are going to cover most of that. So this certificate will give you the basics of Rovo. Now, this link is the official page. I'll put this in our chat, and I'll make this the QR code up at the top. I have the wrong QR code. Create. All right, so the QR code up in the top will take you to this page, and this has everything you need to know about the certificate itself. So if you scroll down, you're going to get the exam details, and this covers who it's for. You know how to use the extension. You know how to generate AI prompts with prompting, and then who it's for. Again, this is meant for beginners, folks who are just starting Rovo or are curious. And here's a breakdown of our exam. So this is going to come back. We're going to spend time in each of these sections, but when we take the exam in about an hour together, I won't share my screen with it, but I'll be able to help answer questions and you can help each other. This is how it's broken down. So 40% of the questions are going to be about basic operations, 23 about agents, 18 on chat, 20% on search. There's only 20 questions and you only need 14 to pass. So we'll get 45 minutes to answer 20 questions. We will get as prepared as we possibly can with as much practice as we can. I'll also walk you through how to sign up for the exam. I'll do that in a minute, or rather after we cover some of the topics. I'm going to keep on going down. We are going to be following this start preparing for free. We're going to come back to schedule your exam. So again, we're going to use this learning material from Atlassian. This is all free. We're going to go pretty quick through it. I'll cover as much as I can to get us oriented. And I'll also be going into a demonstration environment I have where we'll be able to use Rovo together so I can show you how all of these features work. So everything in here is demonstration information, but it'll look and feel exactly like everything else. And welcome if you're watching us on LinkedIn. Glad you could join us. So we're just going to start with Get Started Quickly. Now, this learning resource is free from Atlassian. If you use any Atlassian product, you'll have access to the Atlassian community, which is where you can find this. I'm going to put one more question in here. Do you have any Atlassian credentials? Yes, some, yes, a lot, none yet. So just curious if folks have any of the credentials offered by Atlassian, and that could be a certificate, a certification, whatever. We're just going to jump in. What is Rovo? Rovo is the AI tool found in Atlassian products. Now you'll see it floating around in Jira and in Confluence and in other places. It also has standalone apps, so you can go in and just use Rovo Chat without having to go into Jira. Rovo is now also accessible outside of Atlassian. So we probably won't see any questions around MCP, Modal Context Protocol, but just keep in the back of your mind that other types of AI can tap into the information that Rovo has. So it's possible if you use Claude or Copilot or something, you can still use a lot of the actions and things that Rovo uses. However, Rovo is the one we find in Atlassian. Now, it's available in all the paid tiers. So standard, premium, enterprise, which many companies would use. And German is watching our course on the ACA 900, a different certification. You're very welcome and appreciate you taking some of my courses. VK just did the Cloud Foundation. Amazing. So some of you have been taking other certifications. If you haven't, no worries. I'll explain what it's like to take one and give you tips for the exam, and I'll be available during your free certificate to help you out. The thing to know about Rovo, though, is it's mainly got three main areas. It's got search, and I'll zoom in a bit here so we can see this a bit better. It's got search, and this is tied into everything connected to Rovo. We'll talk more about what it means to connect. But basically, you can go to one spot and Rovo can help you find stuff much more easily than we could before. That, to me, is the single best use case. But search is one major, I call it a pillar of Rovo. We also have chat, though. And this is the same experience you might be used to with other AI interacting with it. And I will point out that if you use any other kind of AI tool, the lessons you learn there, like how to prompt what to expect or not, can also help you with Rovo. Here, we're going to focus specifically on Rovo related stuff, though. So we've got search and chat, the two main ones. And typically, I'm interacting with chat. I pop that window open and I explore ideas or I search for things. We also have Studio, which is where we can go in and build out things like agents. Mainly, this certification or certificate is focused on search, chat, and agents. So those are the three main aspects of Rovo we're going to be digging into. Agents, the best definition I've heard here, it's AI with a job, which someone jokingly provided, but it's a focused use of agents. And I see some questions coming in. If the questions relate to exactly what I'm talking about now, I will stop and answer them. Otherwise, I'll have a Q&A section at the end or provide a written follow-up, just to keep the focus on moving forward with the info here. Agents are just a tailored, focused use of it. For this exam, we need to know how to access them and what types of agents there are. We won't get too deep into building them, though. So just keep that in the back of your mind, like what's on the exam versus not. We'll explore it a little bit. Here are some just examples of what we can do with it. Things like making decisions. A big one is repetitive tasks. When we think of Rovo, it's going to help us with repetitive text-heavy stuff. So if you're doing a lot of the same thing, making the same type of report every week, building a sprint retrospective at the end of every sprint, all of that. Lance is asking for this link. I will show you how to get here. I will give you this link. This is the learning path, it's called, and we're just under Get Started Quickly. There you go. I can't pin stuff in YouTube, unfortunately, so please ask for the link if you need it. I'll do my best to get it to you. So quickly, we're just going to jump in and take a look at Rovo. But keep in mind, it's our tool. It's going to help us find things using some kind of AI. The first thing we'll look at is search, and I'll just use my search bar. Typically, what I do in here is I'll type in a natural language question. So this is something you'll see all over Rovo, but in like the example I always use, because I know I have information on it, if I just type in VPN, it will give me a list of things that have the letters VPN in it, virtual private network. That doesn't really help me though. So instead I'll type in something like, what is a VPN? And I'll click the right button, this little top one with the magnifying glass. This will run a natural language search and Rovo will give me a natural language answer. Now this ability to search doesn't only appear in the search bar. And you'll see it gives me much more of a description. Like if I was talking to someone, they wouldn't just list out Confluence pages or things. They would actually give me, a description of, hey, here's what a VPN is, or here's how you might want to use it. An important concept behind Rovo is it will cite its sources. So all these numbers are citations. And something that'll come back a lot is it will only show you things you have access to. There might be an amazing resource about VPNs, but if I don't have access to that underlying page, I won't be able to see it in Rovo. But this is search quickly finding stuff. I'm just providing examples of these. We will dig in deeper to each of these sections as we go. Next up is chat. Now I'll start with a blank chat. This is, you can just ask a question here. I might ask it, what is a VPN? I could ask it the same question and it's going to give me an answer about that question. I can also use chat though to tee up work. I might say, turn this list of Jira tickets into a Confluence page for me. Or I might ask it to go help me understand, what does Mitch do in the company? I might just type in a question, what does Mitch do? And so here I can chat with it in the same way I could a human. I pop open Slack or Teams or something and I start asking questions of people and it will give me another response. So this ties into the underlying technology behind Rovo, which we'll talk about as we go, called the teamwork graph. But keep in mind, Rovo is connected to all of our activity within connected systems like Jira or Confluence. And because of that, it knows who Mitch is, it knows where they are based on what's in the system. And again, it's only showing me stuff I have access to. If one of you were to run this, you might get a different answer because you have different access to information. The last pillar or aspect of Rovo are agents. I can click on this Rovo logo up here at the top. There's different places to find agents. Here I've got one called the readiness checker. So I can check to see if a work item meets some kind of criteria. But agents will have a specific use case. I'll zoom in a bit so we can see this a bit better. There we go. They'll all have a description. Does it meet some kind of definition of ready? And then I can ask it questions. Keep in mind when you're talking to an agent, it's going to have an agenda, so to speak. It has a list of instructions that tell it what to do. So this readiness checker might be really good at looking at work items to see is it ready for work, and it's going to be terrible at basically everything else. So in the same way, there's a specialist in my team who's really good at quality assurance. They might be able to help a little bit with other things, but really I go to them for QA help. Agents are the same thing. They've been set up to provide specific support for specific things. So that's at a high level what our search is, the ability to find stuff, the ability to chat and go back and forth, and then using agents. Now, keep in mind, Rovo doesn't only surface information, it can also take actions. So as we explore this, we're going to do things like make work items in Jira or make pages in Confluence using a combination of our agents and our chat. So in addition to help me find stuff or figure out who Mitch is, I can also go into Rovo and have it generate a Confluence whiteboard for me or do something else that can help me interact with the tool. Okay, so that's kind of the three main areas, and we're going to see all those on the exam. Again, a big chunk of our exam is around agents, for example. There is an important thing we have to understand about how Rovo works, though. We're not going to get into like programming or coding, but at a high level, we have to understand this thing called the teamwork graph. Now, I describe this as a data layer that pulls in all the information in a connected system. This includes things like Jira and Confluence, but it's also possible for your admin to add other systems. For example, if you use Google Drive, it's possible that your Google Drive information has been included into this graph. Now, even though it's not an Atlassian system, Rovo will still respect those permissions. So if I can't see a document in Google Drive and I search it in Rovo, it won't show up. So it respects that permission regardless of where the data is. But this teamwork graph contains all of that knowledge. As a human, we don't usually interact with a teamwork graph. Programmers can to build things, and there are ways to look at it. But just keep in mind this thing called the teamwork graph is what allows Rovo to seem so intelligent or to know all this stuff. So we might see that show up. Some other important things to know. Atlassian leverages other LLMs like OpenAI, et cetera. That data isn't passed to them, and none of that's used to refine models. I'm going to copy this link and just share it with folks. This is the Atlassian Trust Center, and this is just an important resource. So stuff in here probably doesn't show up on the exam, but this is all really important information for organizations using Rovo or for people who are considering using it from a perspective of, hey, is it safe to use? How do they handle our data? For our exam, though, we need to know everything in the teamwork graph is available to Rovo, and that information stays with Atlassian and the client. It doesn't get pushed over into OpenAI or Anthropic or anybody. And other important concepts like the security of Rovo, it's built around responsible principles. Again, a lot of information in that link. But you might want to send your admin to this, or your admin's probably already taken a look at this. The big takeaway, none of this information is used to train other people's models. So customers retain control of their data. All right, can I reset this quiz? I don't know if I can. At the bottom of these are a bunch of quizzes. If I can, I'll reset them. But we're going to talk through these questions because this will help you understand the exam. Now, when you take the exam, you'll have 4 possible answers. One's going to be correct. So you're not going to get true and false. But we're going to talk through this. Like true or false, Rovo is a comprehensive tool that helps teams by personalizing answers, etc. And then we'll discuss this answer. Like, why is that true? And that's because Rovo is designed to integrate with different systems to bring all that information into one spot. So it's not just focused on Jira and Confluence. It's any system that gets connected. It's intended to be that, what's the word I'm looking for here? That teammate who knows a lot about what's going on, or that, group that can help you find things. It brings all that knowledge into one spot. So you don't have to fumble for it. You don't have to fight with search. And then there's what are the 3 main pillars of Rovo or main features: search, chat, and agents. Rovo can help with other things like project management or time tracking, but Rovo's main features are search, chat, and agents. We're going to see those on the exam. You're going to be using them practically, and understanding generally what each one of them do is important. Search helps you find information across all the systems. Agents can help you automate work or take care of repetitive tasks. And the thing to look for are text-heavy repetitive tasks. And then chat is more about contextual discovery or brainstorming or working with the agent to build something out. All right, on to our next lesson. Quickly going to see what questions we have. How do we open agents? All right, that is a great segue. Estritipathi asked that one. We're going to talk about navigating Rovo very quickly. Then we're going to jump in and do this live. If you're following along, that's also great. If you have another screen or something, or you can listen while we're doing this. And if you're just joining us, we're talking about the Atlassian certificate for Rovo. Massive shout out to Cage, one of my channel members, provides direct support to the channel. I really appreciate you. You help me do what I do. Again, I'm an independent creator, so any support you can throw my way, give me a thumbs up on the video, consider becoming a channel member. There's a goal floating around somewhere at the top to provide direct support. Always appreciate it. I'll post more information about being a member down below. So the quickest way to get into Rovo is the search bar at the top. And that's I call it the universal search bar. It just appears at the top of basically every page in Jira or Confluence or any connected system, or any Atlassian system rather. And it's where you can go in and type in those keywords. You can ask it a question. You don't just have to type in VPN. You can type in, hey, who is this person? Or you can ask it for help finding specific things. The examples I'll use are pretty straightforward, but almost any question you can ask a human, you could go in and punch into this search, and Rovo will attempt to answer it for you. And I always say attempt to answer it because it'll do its best, right? It's whatever information is connected and the strength of our prompt. We'll talk about prompting as we go. So that's our search. Keep in mind that that search can be filtered. So by default, it's going to look through everything. However, and you'll see this in a minute, we can change the system we're searching. Maybe I only want to look in Jira. I can force it to exclude other things. Gage, I appreciate the shout out there. And you can also do things like filter by who created the thing or other stuff. So keep that in mind. Like the search can be pretty good when you just type something in, but as a human, we can still filter it. And that's just a reminder using any AI. It's about, using the tool, not just letting the tool do everything. Also, there can be connectors. Every organization will make these determinations. Now, there's two kinds of connectors we need to know about. And connectors, again, allow other systems' data to show up in Rovo or be used by Rovo. There are administrator-managed connectors and smart link connectors. This is a bit of a simplification, but for this exam, this is what we need to consider. Keep in mind that only organization admins can add these admin-managed ones. And a shout out to Anne, another one of my members. Thank you for joining. Also, I am thrilled there are 100 people in here with us. I'm amazed that so many folks want to learn about Rovo with me. Thank you all for joining. So your admin managed connectors are going to pull data in, and that requires an admin though. So you might see questions around this on the exam, like who can add admin managed connectors? So if you don't see a system you use connected to Rovo, you might have to file an IT ticket or something like that, but this always respects permissions. Next, we have smart link connections. So as an individual, you might paste in a link to a system you use, and then Rovo gets access only to your data in that system. So you can put additional information into Rovo just by pasting in links to connect it. So for our exam, we've got admin managed connectors. Org admins pull this, or smart link connectors and individuals can do this. Keep in mind, you'll have to authorize each app. So you have to tell Rovo it's okay and authenticate through it. And that helps ensure you only see what you are allowed to see. There is also a Chrome extension. You may see questions around this. I've had folks test. This works in any Chromium-based browser, so apparently it works in Microsoft Edge. That question won't be on the exam. That's more just an interesting thing to share with folks. But there is an extension for Chrome where every time you open a tab, you'll be able to interact with Rovo. You'll get a screen that looks kind of like this. So just keep in the back of your mind, there is an extension that can make it easier to access Rovo. And then admins can also install this by default. I don't know if that shows up on the exam, but these boxes are usually important. Next up, we've got finding Rovo Chat. Anywhere you see this little Rovo logo is where you can access chat. And I've got a bit of a silly question. In chat, let me know, what do you think the Rovo logo looks like? What do you think the Rovo logo looks like? I have my own thoughts and feelings that I'll share in a minute. Some of you may know it already. But it's this little circle-y, spirally, colory thing. So anywhere we see this logo, we can click on it and then interact with Rovo in some way. I will point out they are adding it in more places. So the screenshots we see here may not exactly match what you see, but in general, anywhere you see that logo, you can access Rovo. It will include conversation starters. So these questions that just come in there by default, just to get you started. So if you don't know what to ask, you can click on these and that'll prompt Rovo for you. You can do things like @mention somebody. Let me know what @Rob is doing. You can use a slash command similar to a macro in Confluence to take specific actions. Use a skill, something Rovo can do to search or create. You can also add additional information. You might paste in a link to another system, or you might upload a file or do something else to give Rovo more data. And then we also have the ability to change the reasoning model. This might not show up too much on the exam, and this particular button has moved a little bit. I'll show you this in a moment, but this allows you to force Rovo to use a different reasoning model. It looks like benzene. I like that response. Benzene is a chemical compound. Correct me if I'm wrong. A rainbow Mobius strip. I like that, Lance. So we can force it to use its deep research. Now, if you use Think Deeper or Deep Research, it takes longer. So keep that in the back of your mind. We spoke about the Chrome browser, but anytime a new tab is opened, you can now use Rovo. In this example, they're using it inside Wikipedia. So regardless of where we are, we have access to it. And last are our agents. Agents show up in search. And they also show up in our text editors. So you can always do a /Rovo and pull an agent into a work item or a page. So our agents are available in the chat window. We can interact with them directly, or we can use them in different ways. Now, since this exam was written, they've expanded where agents can show up. You probably won't see questions around using agents and assigning them to a ticket, for example. But as you're using Rovo, just keep in mind that there are different places that the agents show up now that they didn't show up in the past. So Rovo is evolving, and this certificate's under a year old, but there's still stuff you'll find in the wild that don't show up here. Now, there is something called Studio. This is an app it's called a platform app. It's not specific to Jira or Confluence, but it allows people to build agents or build automations. This might show up on the exam. Keep in mind that Studio includes agents, automations, assets, and hubs. So those 4 things show up in Studio. This might show up on the exam. It's where we build agents and can see a list of them. It's also where we create automations now. And then we just have to be aware that assets and hubs exist in there. We don't have to know too much about them. But when you're going to build agents, which we'll take a look at as we go to the Studio. There are also a bunch of AI features. You'll see these show up in many, many places. We'll see the Rovo Chat is one. We'll see it when we're editing text or content. We'll see it when we're making work items. We'll see it in automations. So we're going to see this little Rovo logo. Again, the colorful circle-y thing. AX, Z, MEX, no problem if you play from the beginning. You'll just be a little bit behind in reality. So feel free to rewind. This is also being recorded. It'll be available on YouTube later if folks still want to take it. So anywhere you see this Rovo logo, you can access Rovo. And again, it's showing up in more and more places, but that's how we can interact with it. We don't always have to click up on the Ask Rovo in the top. There is also a /Rovo command, like I mentioned, that you can access. This shows up in any text field. There can be a floating toolbar, mostly shows up in Confluence and Jira when you're typing, as well as some other places. Now, you'll see Rovo taking action when you don't tell it. Confluence is the biggest example. When you go to create a page and don't title it, Rovo will suggest one. This feature I cannot show you because it doesn't exist anymore. Atlassian has changed it. So keep in mind on your exam, you may get a question about building automations with Rovo. When this exam was written, you could do that. Right now, you cannot. So when you see questions around building automations, that's a signal to ask for help. If you're taking it live at the end of this, in the chat, say, hey, Rob, can we do this? And I'll ask some questions to help you think through it. But keep in mind that we can't do this right now. This is a feature that has changed. All right. These are many, many other examples of using Rovo. I won't go through all of them. But in general, if you're familiar with any general AI use, you can use this to help you. You can transform content. Hey, rewrite this for a different audience. You can use it to search in natural language, the biggest one I like. You can have it write a SQL query. You can have it suggest how to build something out, or I don't know what to do here. So again, think of Rovo just as that teammate you can ask help from, and it can help you out. Now, keep in mind your org admin controls a lot of features around Rovo. It might be turned off for your organization. They can control that, but your admin will be responsible for all of this. Regardless of what they select, though, it always respects your permissions. So if you can't do something or can't see something, Rovo can't do it for you. And I keep repeating that because it's going to show up on the exam somewhere. All right, Alex, a project manager, has to find a ledger project update stored. How should Alex use Rovo to find these updates? This is more similar to a question you'll see on the exam. A question, they should be shorter than this. It usually doesn't use specific names, but someone needs to find project updates in multiple places. Where can they find it? Can they use a search bar in Google Drive? Probably not a good answer. And what I'm looking for here, it also says Confluence. So when we read these exam questions, we should look for keywords. What systems come up, right? Oh, Confluence and Google Drive. And it's talking about search. So Rovo Search, like in Google Drive, maybe not the best bet because it can't search for Confluence. Manually browsing through each app efficiently, that's not very efficient. I will point out the exam questions will not have these terms. What's the word I'm looking for here? It won't have terms like best, most effective, efficient. It'll be very clear what the right answer is. So this is not the best example of an exam question, but it still is a good one for us to talk through because we can start to figure out like, this isn't really efficient looking at everything. Use Quick Find in Confluence to look for recent pages. That's only in Confluence. So I'm going to pick this as my answer. When you take the exam, you'll be able to mark questions for later as well. And we got it correct. I love some of this chat. Gage is saying, read the question slowly. There'll be no trick questions. Atlassian wants us to be successful, but we do have to understand the question. So that's why I'm going to go through some of these and we're going to find the keywords. We're going to approach this like we would the exam question. Now, you have 20 questions in 45 minutes. That's 2 minutes per question. That's a lot of time. So take a breath, take a minute, and really understand what's going on here. Quick access to Rovo Chat and search while working on a new feature in a browser. As soon as I see the word browser, I go, hey, there's a browser extension. Doesn't want to switch between different apps. Install the Chrome extension, use the chat icon in the application nav browser. Open each Atlassian app. That doesn't make sense because she only wants one thing. Use the AI command in Confluence. I'm going to bet it's this Chrome extension because it specifically mentions in the browser, not in Confluence, not in Jira. Ooh, and I got 300 points. If you're following along in this Atlassian learning, you can earn little badges and things, just as a heads up. Okay, let me go check the questions real quick. I have to go to a different screen. Questions? Where did my questions go? This is very frustrating. I have to go somewhere else. How do I see my questions? Oh, I know where. All right. Generating content is our next step. So if you've used any kind of AI tool, you've probably used it for generating. And a good question on the exam, you'll see it right away. As soon as you hit finish exam, it will take a second to process and then it will say, congratulations, hopefully, or it'll say, oh no, unfortunately you didn't pass. If you don't pass, it'll tell you the number you got right in different sections. I will put my contact information in here as we go so you can reach out to me and I can help you figure out which sections you can improve on so you can try to take it again. I think there's a cooling off period of a week or two, but you can reattempt the exam and I can help you figure out how to improve that. Do you use AI for anything currently? So a general question for folks. Just curious if you're using AI currently for things. And I'll make this question actually appear. There we go. And thank you, Cage, for answering that question as well and helping folks out. I really appreciate that. I want to go check my Q&A. Similar to other AI tools, Rovo can help us generate content. Now, most commonly, folks are using this like in Confluence or something or in Jira to generate stories and things. So keep in mind, you can go in and have Rovo help you create a thing. And why can't I see my Q&A? I can see a thing that says drop your questions here, but not the questions. This is not very helpful, YouTube. And I can see a lot of folks are actively using AI. Not too surprised because it's showing up in a lot of places. Some of us aren't, which is totally okay, but always curious. As a quick reminder, if you like this, hit the thumbs up button. There's also a way to support the channel directly floating around called goals if you're feeling up to it, or you can become a channel member like many of my friends and supporters. But we can use Rovo to go in and draft a user story. We're making a ticket for our team, or maybe we don't know how to respond to a ticket in Jira Service Management. It can give us a response. Or maybe we don't know how to start a policy in Confluence. Rovo can help all of these things. Now, the important concept here is the prompt. We'll talk more about prompting as we go, but this shows up in every aspect of Rovo. The prompt is the input you give Rovo. Alfonso's surprised there's any answer other than one. This is a different philosophical question, but AI is showing up in a lot of places, right? And so for me, it's about learning the basics, and that's why I'm doing this session, to make sure people who have access to Rovo know at least the basics so they can choose to use it, or they can understand what it's good for. And if they choose to use it, they need to know how to prompt. So the prompt is the input you give it, and the output is determined by the prompt. If we give it a strong, good prompt, we'll get strong, good responses, for example. Now, we'll see this prompt show up in a lot of places. In this example, we're in Jira making a ticket, and we're prompting it for help. We've got this description. We want to prompt the system to improve that or change it in some way. Rovo can also suggest a title. I don't use this as an explicit feature in Confluence. I tend to just hit publish on a page and it will just stick a title in there for me because I forget to give it one. But we can use Rovo to suggest a title for a page, to suggest content or updates. So anywhere I'm looking at a text field in an Atlassian product, I'm thinking, can Rovo help me improve this? And stereotypically, that's going to be descriptions on our tickets. That's going to be pages in Confluence. That's going to be a comment field, something like that. Anywhere there's text, we can ask Rovo for help to help it change or adjust or modify what's in there. So we're going to pop on in. We haven't gone live in a demo for a second. I'm going to go find a page in Confluence. I'm going to go look at, not an Atlassian support document. That was a bad example. I'm going to go over to Confluence. And I'll do my best to balance going between Confluence and Jira because it shows up in both. But here I have a kudos policy. And maybe I'm looking at this going, I need to write a new policy for a specific location. So I'm going to click on Ask Rovo at the top. To me, I'll zoom in on this real quick. This looks like two socks, a purple sock with a gold toe, a blue sock with a green toe pointed at each other. It's meant to indicate the connection of all of Atlassian's products, like Rovo sits in the middle and everything touches it. To me, it looks like socks. So I'm on this page, and I'm just going to say, I need to create a new page that details a kudos policy for Europe. Suggest ideas. So I can start using Rovo Chat in here, and I can see let me get rid of that QR code. Boop. I can see it suggesting ideas and helping me generate content. Yep, it's gone, Susan. Thank you for the shout out. And from here, I could keep chatting with it. Should I create this page directly? Yeah, sure. Create the page for me. So here I can use Rovo to generate net new information. Now this is based on my prompt. I didn't give it too much in this original prompt. Create a new kudos page for Europe. I didn't tell it what kudos to use. I didn't tell it what information to reference. We'll talk about more prompting as we continue. But just a quick example, I now have a page in Confluence that I could publish and use and reference, or maybe update. And we can see Rovo here furiously typing as it goes. So again, any text field I see that's in Jira or Confluence, we'll see that Rovo logo and we can use it to generate content. This is true for stories. This is true for tickets. This is true for comments, etc. Keep in mind when you build something, and I'll quickly go back to Confluence here, it will not publish this or take any action until you tell it. So when Rovo says, hi, I've made this page, you'll then have to push add to Confluence or confirm its action. It's called human in the loop, and it's something Rovo does everywhere. It will not make something real until you confirm. So keep that in mind. Rovo won't take action unless you explicitly tell it. Here's an example of using Rovo directly on a page. So I don't have to use chat. I could be editing content, pull open Rovo and say, hey, I just need a bullet point of 10 things. Hey, reformat this for me, expand this idea, and Rovo can do it right there in the app. So in addition to creating stuff from whole cloth, just out of our chat, an entire new page, I might have Rovo work on just one part of a page for me. So again, anywhere there's text, Rovo can step in and help us do something. Rovo, though, can also dig through the system and pull things out. I'm going to change my question, and I'm going to go from have you used any AI to have you used any kind of like AI meeting helper. Have you used any kind of AI meeting helper for notes, action items, etc.? And this is one example of using AI. Rovo can do this, though, within a system. So I might go into a system and say, hi, Rovo, review all the work from the past 2 weeks and let me know what we still have to do. Or, hey, Rovo, look at these meeting notes and pull out action items for this project. And Rovo can go through there and pull those out for us. So in addition to making brand new stuff like our policy, Rovo can also examine existing things and then pull out action items we might have missed. And I use that example of the AI meeting notes because this is similar. Cage uses Loom. I have folks talking about a different Rovo feature that isn't on the exam, Remix. But here we can see Rovo going in and looking at this page and saying, here's the next steps that maybe you missed. So in addition to Rovo, again, making new stuff, it can remind us on the stuff we've already made what we need to be doing. It can also go through and suggest steps for troubleshooting. I won't go into each of these examples, but the core thing we're learning here is Rovo can go in and suggest actions for humans to take. And again, it won't take that action unless we tell it. Knowledge base articles, we saw this with our policy. We could also have it break down a page into work items. So anytime I'm thinking of a text-heavy task, read this page and make work items, and it's repetitive, and do that for an hour, I think about Rovo. Excuse me. All right, I'm going to go back to I'm going to just go all the way to the top, and I'm going to go back to our learning credentials page, and we're going to skip ahead a bit. Most of the examples through the rest of that are using Rovo to generate content. I only have about half hour left to get through more of the like agents and the basic operation stuff. So I want to make sure we can get to that as well. So I'm going to go back to start preparing for free. We're going to go into Rovo agents. So far, everything we've spoken about has been the search, going up into the search bar and typing in what is a VPN, who is a person, what should I be doing? Riva's got a great question. Can Rovo give suggestions on a schedule? I might talk about towards the end or dig more into that, but keep in mind there's a thing called an automation in Atlassian, and you can schedule those to run. So I might say every Monday, I want an automation to kick off, and I want that to ask Rovo, what do I have to do this week, and email me. So Rovo itself can't be scheduled, but you can combine it with an automation, and the automation will schedule, and then Rovo can be triggered. So possible, but not directly. Lance has a great example. It generated objectives and key results for your next review cycle based on your work. That's actually a great use case. Every quarter, build a report of how awesome I am so I can share it to my manager. I might steal that idea, Lance. I really like that. And Cage, thank you for jumping in and responding. Before I forget, I'm going to put my LinkedIn in here in case people want to connect. I also have a Discord and a WhatsApp community with regular chat. We've got several hundred folks in both who are connected and just sharing information. Okay, onwards. Agents. So we've got our search and our chat. You can search in the chat. Keep that in mind. And you've also got that Chrome extension. There might be one question about the extension, but the bigger focus will be on what can you how does search work and how can it help you make stuff? Anywhere there's text, Rovo can help you step in and change it, modify it, expand it, brainstorm, build it out. So agents. This is one of the bigger pieces of the credential. So I'll remind us we're working towards earning this certificate, this ACH. I'll show you how to take it. In the last half hour, we can take it live together. It's open notes, open book. 40% is just basic operations though. It's like, where do I find it? Oh, it shows up in all Atlassian products. It can be turned off by an admin. There is a Chrome extension, so you could have a browser extension. And then it's mostly like a chat interface with the prompting. We'll talk more about prompting in the last chunk here. But agents is the next biggest piece. That's what 62% of the exam. And doing some very quick math, we need 70% to pass. So we're going to focus on these two big chunks and then talk about search towards the end a little bit more because it's the next biggest piece. But our agents, again, they're a tailored use. They're a focused use of Rovo. Agents are essentially like I always struggle to define these, but it's it's a stored prompt that has repeatable behavior. Agents are best when it's a very explicit use case. Again, create a report on what I've been doing in the past month. Use these specific spaces in Jira and Confluence. Analyze. I saw a question about dashboards. Debashish, I hope I'm saying that right. Can Rovo provide a dashboard update via Slack? You'd have to combine that with an automation, but Rovo could go through and create the text around a report. So agents could do that. You could have an agent that you build instructions for that tell it where to go look for information and how to format it and even provide an analysis. So the agent takes a bit of effort to build out. I was chatting with someone yesterday in Seattle at an event about building agents and how I have to remember a lot goes into the instructions you give it. So practically, we want to spend more time building it out. It's like everything. But for the exam, we have this bold text. You can star frequently used agents. So we can star them. It's like a favorite. We can also search for agents. Now we'll go through and find them. They show up in many places. Typically, I'm accessing them from Rovo Chat in the top right, but there's also a slash command they're called. You type in /Rovo and you can find them in Confluence or in Jira. They also show up in the browser extension. So again, there's a browser extension that shows up somewhere on the exam. You can search through them. You can browse through them. There are also 3 kinds of agents we'll talk about, but regardless of the kind, they all have a profile. So we'll be able to view it and we'll get an idea of what it can do. So a brief description, some of the higher level information about what it does. So I'm quickly going to pop back into, I guess I've got Confluence open. Up under Ask Rovo, I can go into this dropdown, and these are my agents. Now I've starred some, so they show up, and there's a lot that aren't starred. I could search through them right here, or I can click on Browse Agents. And this will give me a list of all the agents, and I'll zoom in on this. The thing to keep in mind about agents, there's 3 kinds. Some are provided by Atlassian. Everyone has these. You can make your own custom agents, though. We're not going to dig into how to build these. I have other, live sessions on that. But just keep in mind that anyone with access can make these. Your org admin controls who can do this. So you might not be able to make them. Someone else in your team maybe can, though. So talk to your team if you can't. But it's possible to build custom agents to do specific things. Again, that example about dashboards, right? Like I want to do this all the time. It's repetitive. Maybe an agent is a good example. And I'm going to put a quick poll in here. Have you ever made an agent? Have you ever made an agent? And this could be an agent in Rovo. It could be an agent anywhere. Urali is saying they have an automation rule to trigger an agent. And that's where we can use these agents in conjunction with other feature automations. But there's a whole bunch out of the box. If you have access to Rovo, I highly recommend exploring the Atlassian agents. These are ones that Atlassian uses that they give everyone just to make available for us. So it's like out of the box, we have these tools. They can help us out. Now they'll have a name. And then if you click on one, it will let you use it. So it pulls in right here. It will have some kind of description and these conversation starters. We can, however, dig a little deeper. I'm going to go back to Browse Agents. Oh, wow. And I can see a lot of people have made agents. Amazing. I'll click on these three dots and I'll click on View Agent. And this will take me to this agent's profile, for lack of a name. Now, keep in mind that since the exam was written, this screen has changed a bit. For example, instructions, I think, used to be called prompt. But this is where you can look into the agent. Keep in mind that these instructions are just a prompt. So when you access an agent, this is what it does. Practically, it can be useful to go through and read this just to see what they do, but you're mostly reliant on this description to tell you what the agent is for. VK is saying they used Rovo to prepare for an Atlassian certification. I love that example. That does require, though, that we figure out what are the instructions. These instructions will include things like what it is. It will include things like important rules to always follow. It should include things like things you won't do. So the takeaway here is we can have our own custom agents, but they require a lot of instructions and prompting. And there's also Atlassian provided agents we can use. The third type of agent is called Forge created or Forge custom. That's where it's a programmer typing code. Just know that those exist and that it is possible for organizations to code their own agents. The Forge agents have the most complexity and most functionality, but they're the most sophisticated and most challenging to build. I know they exist. I don't build them. You won't have to know how to build them on the exam. So agents show up in a lot of places, mainly in chat. That's how I interact with them. Ask Rovo, select the agent. They also show up in the editors, though. So if I pop back into Jira, I'm going to go open up some work item. Perfect. I'm just picking one at random, essentially. I'll expand this. And I'm in a text field. Again, Rovo works with text. I'll do a / and just the word Rovo. Collaborate with AI. And then in here, if I click the plus, I've got a list of my agents. So this is like using Rovo Chat. However, I can also pull in specific agents if I want to talk to it. You know, hey, is this ticket ready? So right from there, I can pull in a certain agent and start working with it directly from chat. I don't have to go up here, select the dropdown and go find it. It's a little bit closer to my work. The third place I can get to it, though, automations. We've spoken about this a little bit. But this is where when someone builds an automation, you have to be a space administrator or a Jira or Confluence admin to build one. So you may not have this access, but you might say every time a work item is made in my space, run this readiness checker. Every time a ticket is made in Jira Service Management, run a triage agent that tells me what's missing. So a bit beyond the scope of this exam to know a lot about agents, but they can be automated. So that might show up on the exam. You have a regular task you want to do. Can the agent automatically kick in and help you? It can. However, you might have to talk to an admin, someone with more access. Interacting with agents, it'll look and feel just like Rovo Chat. I make the mistake quite a bit of forgetting I'm using Rovo or something like that. And I forget if I'm talking to an agent or if I'm talking to chat. And I'll frequently start talking to an agent when I think I'm chatting in general. And then I have a challenge because the agent is a tailored use. It has specific instructions. So please keep in mind that if you're talking to Rovo, double check if it's a chat or if it's an agent. Because if you're talking to an agent, you'll get very different answers because it's been told to only work in a certain specific way. All right, we've seen these conversation starters, though. It's when you open up Rovo, it's going to suggest, hey, you could ask it this. What do you think about this thing? So this will help you use it. This is a great way to explore agents, and it's a great way to kind of just get a feel for how they work. I tend to run into, I call it writer's block. I'll open up an agent and go, what was I doing? Instead, you'll just get these three options. Now, people who create these agents can go in and change these prompts. They can just be generic, like Rovo will just give you some when you make an agent, but this is called a conversation starter. So if you see these, this might show up on the exam. You don't know how to use an agent. Look for the conversation starter. That's just a good keyword, a good thing to keep in mind as you're looking at taking this or as you trip over this question on the exam. All right. Oh, there's just lots of responses. Looks like most of us have made agents, but closely not a lot of us have. Um, as we're taking the exam, I'll point you to more information on creating agents. For the purpose of this exam, we mostly only need to know, hey, they exist, where to find them, and some generalities like sharing them. This will be important because as you encounter agents in the wild, like you actively use these systems, you can just copy a link to the agent and send it to a teammate. Like, hey, Anne, I found this really useful product requirements guide. Here's a link to it. Go try this next week. Or, hey, Susie, I found this bug report assistant was really useful when I was doing my testing. So keep in mind, you can quickly share agents. You cannot star them for other people. So if I go back into Jira or Confluence real quick, I can find any agent and I can click this little copy link and I'll zoom in whee, right here. Or I can click this and then copy link to share this link with someone else. And then here's where that star is. Like everything with starring, just make sure you unstar things if you don't need them anymore, because this list gets long and you update it. All right, I'm going to get rid of this poll. Oh, a quick break. One thing that I do is also build out recorded courses. I have a whole learning site, Hean.tech. Lots of great learning in here. I have a course on Rovo that I am updating. There have been so many changes. I will share this, though, in the chat. If you're looking for more knowledge on Rovo, it digs into all of this and more. And I also have a coupon code for everyone listening. Get 50% off. Just use the code ROVO_ACH. If you're looking for more in-depth Rovo, you do not have to buy this. This is something I offer. It's one way to support the work I do. And it's a resource that I will constantly always be building out because Rovo is changing so rapidly. So think of this as an extension of our learning. However, this exam is still free. All of my YouTube stuff is still free. I'll keep putting out free stuff. And if you have any kind of financial hardship, you're between jobs, you need support in any way, reach out to me directly. Find me on LinkedIn, find me anywhere. I'll be happy to help you out. I want to support folks in learning. I care more about that than the cost. So that's one way to support me, but also a great resource. And 50% off if you use Rovo_ACH. Onwards on this. Some questions on Rovo agents. I'm going to walk through this because this, again, is similar to what we will see on our exam in the next about 30 minutes. We'll kick this thing off, or rather, all of you will kick this thing off. Someone has found an agent to help generating things and wants to streamline the step for meeting. How can they share the agent? So this is something else. Like we'll see questions like this that says, you want to do something. What's the best way to do that? And this is where it's important to think through, okay, in this ACH, you could open up Jira and look at Rovo. Again, it's non-proctored. You can open up your notes. You could ask in the YouTube chat when you take it. Let me know. But thinking through this, like, okay, is there a share button on the agent's profile? So this is a good example of a question that unless you know there is no share button, it might feel like a trick question, but this just doesn't exist. So Atlassian isn't going to make up features necessarily to try and trick you. It's just making sure, do you know there is no share button? There's no share tab either, but I remember something about a link. And that's where if you're following through with these little questions, they'll tell you the answers. You will not get this on the exam. The exam at the end will tell you how many you got correct in each section. So you won't get this breakdown of, hey, you got these specific questions wrong. Here's another one. Every exam question is multiple choice. So this is a multi-select. When you take the exam, you'll get to pick one correct answer. This one's more testing our knowledge, though. It's like, how else can we interact with agents? Is there a Rovo agent that can help in Confluence on content? So these are keywords I'm looking at on the question. So as I'm taking the exam, look for these keywords: finding an agent, content, Confluence. Okay, a Rovo agents button in the toolbar, that doesn't exist. And that's where we just have to have enough knowledge to realize, hey, there is no Rovo agents button, or we just pop open Rovo and look. This one's interesting. Use an automation flow to work with an agent. This is a way to use agents. However, he's looking to find an agent. So thinking through, finding agents isn't through automation flows, but there's a Rovo Chat and there's that Rovo command. I'll do one more here. I think there's 4. We'll do 3. Someone has selected an agent to analyze data and doesn't know what to do next. How can you start working with an agent? There's no get started button. You don't really invite it to a chat, but you can just ask it a question or click on the conversation starters. Dova is a friend of the channel and he has arrived. Welcome, my friend. It's good to see you. As a reminder, we are getting ready to take our Rovo Fundamentals certification or certificate, excuse me. And as a quick reminder, we're going to pop back over and just look at this exam. I was scheduled to start it in about 15 minutes. I might take a little bit longer. I want to make sure if folks want to take it, that we have a community here to help out. So part of the intention is by 11:30 Pacific, folks will have taken the entire exam, and there are folks in here to help answer questions. I will not show you exact exam questions, but you can ask for help in the chat. So we're going to go back here real quick and just remind ourselves of the structure. We've spoken about our basic operations. Again, what can it help us do? I'm going to put a quick poll and just see who's been paying attention. What is something Rovo can't do? So what is one thing that Rovo cannot do? 1, order a coffee. 2, create content on a page. 3, find things in natural language. 4, be in an automation. Keep in mind, we are talking about beginners. So everything we've discussed so far, what is one of these things it cannot do? And just put in a chat, a 1, 2, 3, or 4. I need some tea. We've spoken a bit about agents. Again, there are 3 main flavors of agents, or 3 flavors total. We've got provided by Atlassian. We've got, oh, Jeffrey, another channel member. I didn't see you hiding in there in chat. It doesn't tell me if you're here, but I thank you for your support, my friend. As a reminder, I'm a full-time content creator. I'll keep cranking this stuff out for free. I enjoy it. It helps people, but any support you can throw my way is always appreciated. Easiest way to support the channel, just hit the like button. It's a thumbs up somewhere down there. But if you could take just a second to push that, easiest way to help me. Other ways you can help out, take a look at my courses, Hean.tech, or to consider becoming a channel member. Alfonso, pretty sure soon it can do all of them. Yes. And this is where the way I phrased it was, remember, this is for our exam. For beginners, the one thing Rovo can't do right now is order a coffee. Actually, let me go see. I'm just going to quickly go to Ask Rovo. This is something I do a lot. I will go and ask Rovo, can it do things? Can you please, can you, I can't spell, please order me a latte. I'm curious what it's going to do. But yeah, our basic operations, right? It's mostly about manipulating text. So anything around text, creating content, searching through it, finding it somewhere. Rovo can help us with. Taking actions in physical reality, not yet. And keep in mind, it can do all of these things because of the teamwork graph, that underlying data layer that all the connected systems are piled into. People are noticing the Batman. I'll explain this one towards the end, but I basically told Rovo to refer to me as the Batman. That is a bit outside the scope of the exam. Be on the lookout for a YouTube video on Rovo memories soon. And there's a link to becoming a channel member. And Dova thinks my courses are pretty radical. Cowabunga dude? I haven't heard the term radical in a while, my friend. But I appreciate you think that. So those are our basic operations. Again, anywhere there's text, anywhere I'm typing, Rovo can help me. A Jira work item, a comment, a Confluence page. It can also help me out in summarizing knowledge. Review all of these. Here, I'll do this right here. I'm on a board in Jira. I'll get rid of this. I'll start a new chat, and I'll say, summarize this board for me. Oops, for me. What's the main challenge the team faces? So I can say, summarize this content. I could give it a link to specific things. I could upload a file to give it more information. So anywhere, again, I'm a human, I have to read something or manipulate text, Rovo can step in and help. And I can access it in a number of ways. Ask Rovo in the top, or when I see the Rovo logo, this circle, or I can type /Rovo in text fields. So different ways to access it. Lance, I'm glad you thought it was excellent. Thank you. Best of luck on the exam. Reach out to me direct if you want any last minute prep. So I asked it for a summary and it gave me one. So there's just some basic use cases. Next up is best practices. I love this statement. Rovo only finds what exists. More specifically, it only has access to what you have access to. So keep in mind, if I use it and Lance uses it, we might get different responses because we have different permissions. So it can also do things like help keep information up to date. We can search for information. It can help us find things that have to be updated. However, if we ask Rovo for information and it responds with something that seems wrong, always double check what source information it's using. I get a lot of complaints. Hey, Rob, all my stuff in Confluence is out of date. Rovo is also out of date. I go, well, yes, because it's just looking at what it has. So both practically, but also for the exam, Rovo only has access to connected systems, generally Jira and Confluence, but others can also be added. So just a reminder that we've got to remember what's connected and what does Rovo have access to. Another general best practice, be cautious about adding additional information. Even though they guarantee not sharing data for further training purposes, I typically don't upload stuff into Jira or Confluence unless I'm certain it's okay, and I always ask, because typically the stuff in that teamwork graph is already okay to use. So if I think something is remotely sensitive, I always double check. I talk to my admin or someone else. Damien just took the exam. Do you mean the Rovo one, Damien? Congratulations on whatever you passed. That's really cool. Let's all throw Damien some emojis or something in the chat for passing. I assume it's the Rovo one, but that is awesome. Jeremy's got a great question. How old is this website? About this exam, it was built, I want to say, within the past 6 months. This training, though, is updated from time to time. So I don't know off the top of my head how old this particular content is we're looking at here. But the exam is a snapshot as of about 5-6 months ago. So keep that in the back of your mind. And I found the Q&A, thankfully. Jitendra Moore, I'll talk about connectors in a little bit. Excuse me. Some other things we should be thinking about: searching for work items in Jira. Help me find a specific field, or does a certain thing exist? There we go. We got some. Those jellyfish? What are those, Dovasukas? Devasicus? I always forget how to pronounce your username. I'm sorry. And natural language is the big thing. We can go in and ask it, like, what fields do I have access to? What specific things can help me out here? One thing I haven't shown yet is we can also translate things into JQL, as I call it. So I'm going to go into Jira real quick. And another use case we have for Rovo, if I go into my search, my filters, I have an Ask AI button. I can click on this and say, find everything find everything that is critical. And Rovo will translate this into JQL. So we have our natural language search in the search bar. That's typically what I use. But I also have the ability to translate it into JQL. I could also do this in my chat. What is the JQL for what items are in critical? Lance has an interesting question. Did I help write the exam? I did. I forgot on my introduction, but I'm what's called an Atlassian subject matter expert. I help write certification and certificate exams. So I was involved on this particular one for Rovo, as well as all of the ACHs except for Forge, because I don't use Forge, and many of the ACAs and ACPs. So I was part of the group that got to go build this. Damien, you're welcome. My goal was to get at least one person to pass this thing. Amazing. Congratulations, my friend. Go put that on LinkedIn, celebrate it. It's just a starting point, though, right? This is the fundamentals. How do we expand? What are you going to do next? All right. Okay, prompting. This is another topic we're going to see. Atlassian uses what's called the TCREI framework: task, context, reference, evaluate, iterate. Our task: what is Rovo doing? You are a Scrum Master writing a retrospective report. Our context: you need to do this because the team wants to improve in the next sprint. References: here are the work items you need to review. Task, context, reference. So we're going to pop into Jira and we're going to go back to our board and we're going to practice this. So we're going to start out like report on this board. So this is an example of a prompt: report on this board. This is an example of not a very good prompt. And I say that because it's missing a lot of things. It's missing that it's kind of got the task, like report on the board, but no context. Why? Why are you reporting on the board? No references. Here's how I've written reports in the past. Here's our style guide. Here's, formatting instructions, whatever. So this will give me something. This is also a bit of a reminder that Rovo can do a lot with not much input. However, we only see a lot of success when we focus on the prompting. What are we telling it to do? So we got a report, observations and things. Report on this board. I'm going to change this a little. And what I'm going to do is zoom out so we can see false alarm, sorry. You are an expert Scrum Master running a retrospective for a team. You need to build a retro report based on this board so they can improve next sprint. Provide 3 bullet points for the following: what went well, what didn't go well, what to change. This is a much better example of a prompt. It's got its task. And that task includes like a persona, like who are you? You're an expert Scrum Master. Oh, context. You have to build this so you can help. TCREI, or TCREI, as I call it out loud. I'll put it in a banner in just a minute. And then I gave it specifics. So I'm going to let this run, and then I'm going to put a little cheat sheet up on the screen with what this is as quickly as I can. Create a banner: task, context, references, evaluate, iterate. There we go. I pronounce this as TCREI as a joke, but task, context, reference, evaluate, iterate. The first 3 are what we give the tool. We give it a task, a context, and references, and then we evaluate. So we got something back. I got what went well and my 3 bullet points. I got what didn't go well, my 3 bullet points. And then I got what to change, my 3 bullet points. I could then evaluate this, and you saw me do this earlier. I looked at what I got, and I was like, hang on, don't need this. It's incorrect, and I iterated. I improved it. This framework helps with all prompting, not just Rovo. But when I learned this framework, it really helped me understand how to use these tools better. Some other things about chat while I'm in here: all of your chats are saved for 30 days. They're only accessible by you, and you can kind of rewind and go back and look at prior chats. So keep in mind your chats are recorded by Rovo, and they're recorded for 30 days. Urali, if you could provide more context here. The framework for prompting, they're system agnostic, I say. So I use task, context, reference. That's just how I learned it. There are other frameworks you can use. We used to see TCREI in a lot of Atlassian training. I don't know if it's still floating around in here. But I seem to recall that quite a bit when I was building and learning this exam. Like that, I learned TCREI through Atlassian training. There are other frameworks that can work for you, though. So please keep that in mind. And a shout out to Dova for helping remind folks what other things are. Again, we're all in this together. We're going to be taking our exam soon. Please use the chat and YouTube. I'll be hanging out here talking about Rovo. You can ask me questions during your exam and we can help you. Orca Force Official, I love the name. And that looks like a whale. Amazing. And thank you. I was up in Seattle yesterday at a teamwork event. I'll be happy to talk about that later, but our focus now is on this exam. All right, so that was most of the content around this. Some things to remember. I'm going to go back to our earn. Our basic operations, like what is it good for? It's connected to the teamwork graph. That teamwork graph is what gives it context and information around all of the connected systems. Your admin can connect more systems. By default, everything in Atlassian is tied in. However, other systems can be included, and there's two ways they can be connected. An admin connector, which an admin has to authenticate, and then a smart link that you as a user authenticate. Regardless of how things are connected, Rovo only shows you things you have access to. So always keep that in the back of your mind. Only things that you have access to are available through Rovo. Other basic operations include where to find it, right? It shows up in the top right under Ask Rovo. Oh, sorry, right there. It shows up now under this little one down here. It shows up when you're editing content. If I go into a page I can edit, which I have one of these in here somewhere, I'll see Rovo showing up in different places. I see it here. It shows up as a / command forward Rovo. I can collaborate with AI right here, but it shows up in different places in different ways. And it's really good at anything text-based. Summarize this page for me. Summarize all the comments on this. Is this page ready to be published? What might be missing? Next, we've got agents. Again, this is I always struggle to define these. It's AI with a specific job. It's been given a prompt to do specific things, write a report in this format, provide this type of output. These can be automated to run on a schedule or by some other trigger. Every time a sprint is closed, run the retrospective analyzer agent. Agents are accessible in our chat. Ask Rovo in this dropdown. Agents are also accessible under Browse Agents or with that / command. Agents also include conversation starters. This term might show up. Conversation starters are these things. And the description. You can star and share agents by clicking on the star or by copying the link. So that might also show up on our exam. There's also a Chrome extension. Every time you open a tab, you'll be able to interact with Rovo. So the Chrome extension can show up on our exam. Rovo Chat allows us to interact in a chat context with Rovo. Again, here I'm talking to an agent, so just practically be careful about this. I'll zoom in a bit. I want to exit out of this, so I'll click this back. And my chats are stored for up to 30 days. So I can go back up to a month and see what I was talking about in the past. Only I get to see my chats. I don't know if that specifically shows up on the exam, but that 30-day limit does. There's 3 kinds of agents. I'll go back to my all agents. Atlassian provided. Atlassian just gives you these. They're great. They are a great way to see how they work. Go into view agent. You'll see more. There are custom, no code custom agents. You may or may not have the access to do this. So your admin can restrict the ability to make agents. And then there are forge custom agents, one that require a programmer. So keep all of that in mind. And then we've got, what was the last one? Search. Search mainly shows up in our search bar. Just type in a natural language question and it will answer it. What is a VPN? Keep in mind that it only shows you things you can see. You can also use chat to search though. So it's not limited just to the search bar. And it also shows up in other places like our filters for Jira, things like that. All right, now the exam. It's free. When you pass it, you have it for 12 months, then you'll have to take it again. That's a good thing. This exam will be updated from time to time. There'll be new features. I'm going to drop a quick question. Are you going to take the exam with us right now for free with support? Just three possible answers. 1, a yes. 2, not right now. 3, you already have it. Regardless, I'll encourage you to stick around because this is open note. We can all help each other. So as people are taking the exam, they can drop into our YouTube chat and ask questions. I will also continue talking about Rovo. I might take a quick break and go use the restroom, but I will come right back and I'll keep talking about different ways Rovo can help us. I cannot show you the exam, but I can talk you through questions. Orca Force Official, you should definitely give it a shot. I would be highly amused if just the passive learning helped you, my friend. And you've been dared. Okay, there's a dare on the table, folks. Does anyone want to double dare Orca Force official to take the exam with us? It's free. I will help you. Any double dares out there? Okay, so our exam. To take it, I will put this link in our chat again. Go here to sign up. And then scroll down, and we're looking for schedule your exam. This is called CertMetrics. It is the backend system that supports Atlassian certifications, credentials, etc. What you're looking for is schedule and take exams in Certiverse. And then scroll to the bottom and click Access Certiverse. And I see a lot of people want to take this exam. Amazing. This is what I was so excited about, to get a bunch of people all together. All right. I'm going to stop this poll because so far it's just a flood of, oh, we're doing it right now, which is awesome. I'll hide that. There we go. All right. From here, just click on exams. This is where you take every Atlassian credential. So you see the Forge one, etc. We're looking for this one, Rovo Fundamentals. I typically just type in the word Rovo up here, and I select it. It will tell you about the exam. This is what we've been talking about for the past hour and a half or so. Frank, I will put the link in again. I can't, unfortunately, make it like persist on this screen, which is highly annoying. Oh, we got another one. We've got two folks. Oh, that's the wrong one. If when you pass, drop it in chat, and maybe I'll put a poll. I'm going to put a quick poll just so we can see how many people pass. Oops. And if for any reason you don't, or you're stuck and have to walk away, no worries. I will put some contact information. My goal is everyone is successful. And I will be happy to work with you in other things. It will also show up in my Discord community. I know some folks can't access Discord. I'll put a link to that here as well. But this is another place you can go for support and community. But we'll post the link there as well. I'm going to pin the comment. This is the link. So this is the link to go to. Then just schedule your exam. From here, just click Get Started. It will remind you everything. Click Next. Accept and continue. I will point out, if you're taking other certifications, there'll be other steps. But from here, just click Start Exam, and it will start. Again, I will not continue because I don't want to show actual questions on YouTube. But this is where we go. Yes, I want to cancel this one. You should all click Start Exam, though. If you have any trouble, drop it in chat. There's folks who can help you. I can help you. I'm going to pop out for a quick break. I'm going to use the restroom, but I'll come right back. Again, you're going to want to go to this link. Interesting. VK, did you pick Rovo or something else? And I ask that because if we pick a different credential, the paid credentials, anything with ACA or ACT in front of it is paid, and that might force you to take it at some point in the future. For the ACH, the ones that are free under Access Certiverse, those you should just click Go. Orca Force, I made some calls to friends and I told them when I'm live, no airplanes, but only when I'm recording, because I know someone who loves hearing them. So if I go in here and pick anything under certificates, I should be able just to click through and take it right now. If I click any of the paid ones, then I might run into challenges that I have to schedule it in the future. All right, folks, I will be right back. If you have questions, drop them in the chat. I will respond as soon as I can. And then when I get back, I'll start answering questions in the Q&A and keep talking about how to pass this certificate as we go, so you can listen to me and also take the exam. It's open notes, so you can also have all of the training open under Start Preparing for free. So I'll be right back. No one go anywhere. Orca Force official, let me know when you're successful and you are certified, and that would make me so happy. And I will be back in a second. Take it once IT installs the browser extension. You don't need the browser extension if you're referring to the one about Rovo to take the exam, although it is possible if you're on a corporate device, something about Certiverse could bump into some kind of policy. I got to get rid of that. Okay, I'm going to pop over to my Q&A. That's also in chat. As a quick reminder, if you're liking this format, just hit the thumbs up button. It's somewhere down there. Now let's see how many. Awesome. We've got 3 people have passed it so far. That's really exciting. As a reminder, I've got a full-length course on Rovo if you're looking for even more learning. Wholly optional. You can get half off, though. I'll give you the coupon code. I got to spell things right. And my questions. What do we got? Can I use an agent to work as an assistant to drive a sprint board and keep you up to date? So a general question on agents. As a reminder, agents require some kind of instructions. So we can have an agent that we explicitly instruct to work on a board. I'm going to go into Jira. What I would probably do is go open to Ask Rovo and find my agent. Maybe I'll do readiness checker just as an example. And from here, I could prompt the agent. Now, we certainly could set one up. Its job it is to look at an active sprint and to flag work items that might need help. I'll try to approximate this with just a chat. So I'm going to use my prompting, my TCREI, my task context reference, evaluate, iterate. I'll put that back up here just in case folks need it. But I'm going to give it a task. You are responsible for reviewing a sprint. That's the task. Why is it doing this? You need to do this to help me catch work items that are stuck, need attention, or are otherwise in trouble. Context. Now, references. I don't have any specific references, but I might grab a link to this board. You know, here's the board. Here's the sprint. So there's a few things I'm doing in here that can help us with Rovo. The first, I'm using Rovo Chat. I'm just clicking on Ask Rovo. It opens up. And then I'm going down to the bottom and I'm typing in my prompt. I've got my task, what it's doing. You're responsible for reviewing a sprint. The context, you need to do this to help me catch work items that are stuck. In a reference, here's the exact board to use. I'll hit enter. And now Rovo is going to think. It's going to go do its thing. Rovo is going into the teamwork graph, the underlying data layer that Rovo leverages. Woo! Sorry. Nicole, congratulations. That is awesome. Again, it will tell you immediately. While you're taking the exam, you can also flag questions for review. So if you're not sure, you'll have to give it an answer, but you can push a flag for later button. I forget the exact name, and then come back before you finish. Nicole, congratulations. Feel free to stick around and help out others if they have questions. If you got a second, drop it on LinkedIn. Oh, we got another one. Yay. Would love a tag on LinkedIn, but go celebrate this. We got 5 so far. Oh, this is so cool. This is the fundamentals. So I'm sure you have follow-up questions. Reach out to me direct. I've got that course. I'll bring that QR code back. But if I can help you out beyond this, let me know. We got 5 so far. Amazing. So after you prompt Rovo, it goes into the teamwork graph and it starts trying to answer your question or do your thing. And that teamwork graph contains Jira and Confluence unless they've been turned off. So admins can go in and disable that, as well as other connected systems that admins have added or smart links you have pasted in. So that's how it gets these answers. And here I have my response. This was my prompt. Now I'm going to evaluate it. I'm going to read the response and go, okay, is this exactly what I wanted? I guess I'll evaluate. And then it's got a follow-up question. So I'm going to iterate. It says, do you want to draft a message to Mitch or Alana about the stuck work? Yes. Please draft an email to both. It should be positive and supportive, but direct them to areas that need help. So here I'm just going to start iterating. I'm going to continue working on the prompt to get what I need, which is this response. What does a multicolored line under a term indicate? I'm going to go into Confluence. I'm going to open up a page. This is another feature to Rovo. It was honestly, Lance, the first one I discovered. I don't know if I can find one. It shows up under acronyms. It shows up under uncommon terms, and it's going to help define things. I can force it to happen, but it's this define feature. So Rovo doesn't only know our work, but it can do a search. And here oh no, I had it. If you look very closely, I'll do it again. This little squiggly colorful line, I'll do it again. This is a definition. This is Rovo defining some specific term, reaching out into the ether and figuring out, here's what additional means. We got 2 more. Jason, congratulations. Anne, congratulations. This shows up mostly in Confluence. I don't know if it's accessible in Jira. I'm quickly going to open a work item. TC and REI. Oh, and there it was. Here's the multicolored line. So this is a term that Rovo can help me define. And if I click on it, it will then define that term. So it'll take a second and it'll process. This would be the same as opening chat and saying, what does TCREI stand for? And you'll notice it gives me sources. Now, in this particular case, because there was no context, it gave me an interesting response, the transient climate response to carbon emissions. Instead of task, context, reference, evaluate, iterate. But that colorful line is a definition of text, something to help you understand what are you looking at. Yeah. This was also the first feature I ever saw in Rovo. I was in a Confluence page. I'm like, why is this multicolored? Oh, it's defining it for me. That's really cool. That feature does a little bit more in Confluence. I won't dig into it too much, but know that it goes beyond just that definition. You have some control over it. All right, folks. Other questions, other things you're stuck on. Another feature I always forget about, these are called knowledge cards. If I look for a person, if I just search for Robert Hean in Confluence and hit enter, that person, I will get what they call a knowledge card. So this box is a knowledge card. It's telling me something about Robert Hean. W. Wilcoxon, I'll come back to that question in just a second, right after I'm done with these knowledge card things. But knowledge cards tell you about a person. Woo! Sorry, I got 2 more. Subhamaya? Great. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but congratulations. That is amazing. John, congratulations. Again, feel free or please respond to the poll when you've passed. I'll show this again. Just hit a 1 in chat, but I love seeing all the passed. I lost track. We're probably at 10 people by now. This knowledge card includes who the person is, their local time zone, and then things they've worked on and who they work with. Keep in mind, what it shows you is based on your permission. So it's not going to show me work that they've worked on that I can't see. But this is another feature that may pop up. A knowledge card displays information about a person when you search their name. We have a question on correcting definitions. I'm going to go back to that same exact page I was on, 10-year anniversary perk. And I'm actually going to edit this page and insert TCREI just so we can use a more real example. Now, you can click on any word or term and define it. It doesn't have to have the underlining. It shows up under define. But when you click define, you'll get some kind of definition. You'll get the sources it used. So you can look at it and go, oh, I see why it's got these. But then I've got these 3 dots, and I can edit the definition. I can also optionally turn it off. I don't think this particular feature shows up on the exam, but I might edit this and say, no, this is all wrong. It stands for TCREI, stands for task, context, reference, evaluate, iterate, and is useful in prompting. Prompting. I could add a more detailed definition, and then I can tell Confluence where this shows up. So I can say only this space, only this page, or this whole site. So this allows individual groups to override what Rovo thinks with something specific. So now when I update this, that is now the definition, and it's telling me who defined it. So that is optional. Rovo will define things auto-magically on its own, but I can correct it if it's wrong. Okay, what else do we got? It sure does appear on the exam. Editing them, that is good to know. This came out about 6 months ago. I did help write it. I don't remember every question. Yes, the exam should have 20 questions. I'll go back to our Rovo page, our home page for the credential. 20 questions, you need 14 to correct. That's 70%. Oh, I got another one. Congratulations, FJ, excuse me. I can read, I swear. Looks like a little Lego head, too. Oh, it's a cute little statue. Amazing. Again, if you've got a second, hit the like button down below. Share your success on LinkedIn or wherever. But I'm thrilled that folks are being successful. While I do this professionally and I have to pay the bills, I care more that people get the skills and know how to use the thing and enjoy it. So it's great to see so many folks passing. This is really, really cool. Another one. We got John. Woohoo! Subtle flex, Anne. Anne's a member of the channel, also a good friend in Discord, and a Atlassian community champion. She got 20 out of 20, and certain that you missed one. The exam will not tell you if you got one, or the exam will not tell you which ones you got right or wrong. It'll just give you a number. It should give you a breakdown, though, of how many in each section you got right or wrong. If you're curious for the more in-depth breakdown, you can let me know. 20 out of 20, brilliant. You can do some quick math and figure out which section you might need more work in or where you missed something. When I take certification exams, I always set the intention of getting 100%, but keep in mind, like, Atlassian understands we're human. There are many reference guides. There's stuff like this that we can go look at. So if Lance, amazing. If you missed one, that's totally okay. I am constantly learning things. I am constantly remembering things I thought I knew, like that thing about definitions. So be open to that as well. That's part of the learning experience. And if you're looking for more Rovo, the QR code Did I put the right one up? I think up at the top goes to my full-length Rovo course. Yep. So if you're looking for more Rovo material, also on my channel, I'll be posting more videos about Rovo. There'll be one about memories in the next week or so, which is a topic not on the exam. Okay, folks, I'm going to check our questions bank again and just see what's coming in. Oh, it's down there now. Thank you, Chrome, for moving it. Can Rovo help us integrate products like Jira and Confluence with third-party tools like Slack and Teams? Rovo can provide things like instructions on how to do things. Oh, and we got Orca Force, folks. Congratulations. I don't believe Orca uses any Atlassian products, so I will be very curious how this goes. Remember, Orca, you can ask for help in the chat. This is open book, non-proctored. Data K, congrats on a 19. I love that. And congrats on passing an ACA. VK, congratulations. And also on your recent success as well that you let me know about. That is very exciting. Oh, Murali, another 20 out of 20. That is so cool. It's also kind of nerve-wracking just watching all, like knowing many of you are taking this and just waiting. When I take these exams, I feel confident, I feel good no matter how much prep I have. The second before I hit submit, are you sure? I always get really nervous. You never know. That little feeling of, is it going to go okay? Nithin, congratulations. We got another one with a 19. I love that. If y'all want more information on ACH specifically, Atlassian now has 4 of them. I can eat, and they've announced that at least some of the certifications are going to be replaced with free ACH. I have a specific mailing list where I include information about this. I will put a link to this specific page. This interest form will sign you up for my newsletter on the certificates. These are the free exams. So exactly what we're doing now. And I'll be doing one of these every other week live to help people get certified or credentialed. On August 4th, I have something special going on. We're doing one for a brand new ACH that is going live that day. So on August 4th, not this coming Tuesday, but the next one, join me on the channel. I'm going to be there with my friend Christian. He also helped create this. He's an amazing person. This event is where it's going to be. We're also giving away some, I don't have it here, but we're giving away coupons for food. Oh, Nicola, congratulations. We got another one. That's really cool. Muzzle, congratulations. On August 4th, I'll be doing another one of these. This is a brand new certificate. This one is for Atlassian Cloud Fundamentals. So how does the cloud structured? What support options are there? And I'll have a guest with me, this amazing gentleman, Christian, helped write the exam and led the team that did it, and another amazing community champion. But this is the next one of these I'm doing. And we'll be raffling off 5, food delivery gift cards to help folks fuel their brains. But sign up here if you want to get updates on ACH or other certification-related stuff. Anne is also pointing out we, meaning Atlassian champions, are going to be hosting more events around this. Let's get credentialed. So look for local events where you can go in person to do stuff like this. Ashish, congratulations. Orca Force. Oh, no. Wait, is that good? Did you pass? I need to bring up my poll again. Oh, I got to get rid of this comment. There we go. Also, the Jira guy. This is a gentleman named Rodney. Amazing resource on Jira and Atlassian. Woohoo! Congratulations. You are now credentialed. Also for sticking your neck out, being someone who doesn't use these tools and only knows about them because I bully you into watching them all the time. That's amazing. Lance has a great question. Yes. Now, specifically, the one that I'll be doing on August 4th is just the fundamentals around how the cloud works and is structured. It will give you information on what apps there are, but also like how standard and free and premium differ. And then the support options you have, like where can you go for help? It is not intended for admins. So the new credential, the new certificate that they're launching on August 4th replaces an old ACA you had to pay $100 for. It's more intended for general users to understand how things work. So Lance, I would recommend it if you use, like for the average user, it's good knowledge. If you're a little bit more in depth, like I consider myself a super user of Atlassian products. Definitely if you put yourself in that bucket, but pretty much anyone who uses Atlassian products could benefit from this information because you'll learn where to go for help. You'll learn about the differences and explain why it does or doesn't do certain things. Goomba's saying it's free. Why not? Neil, congratulations. Susan, yes. Ooh, Rodney's got a good question. If certifications were Pokemon badges, who would be the gym leaders? Eunice, congratulations. That is thrilling. Amazing. Again, if you're looking for additional support, content, etc., find me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to direct you. Like and subscribe to YouTube down below. You'll get regular updates. Go to this page, sign up for my newsletter where I'll provide just general Atlassian information, but also specifics around ACHs. Eunice, you're very welcome. I hope you found this useful. If you did, just give a thumbs up. That would be amazing. And congratulations on your certificate. Rodney, best of luck. Rodney is taking the admin level for the Confluence. Best of luck, my friend. We studied together. Any last minute questions, you know how to find me, right? Lance, I'll see you there. Orca Force, I don't believe Ash was a gym leader, right? All right, folks, if you're still taking it, please use the chat to ask questions. As a reminder, there's 3 main features. We've got chat for interacting with Rovo and brainstorming and creating stuff. We've got our search, taking natural language and converting it into finding things. And we've got our agents, a tailored, saved use of a specific thing. Karen Davis, amazing. Congratulations. Yukon, congratulations. Orca Force, I have many badges. Someone found me at a team and made this, not specifically for me, but this amazing like 3D printed badge as an Atlassian certified administrative expert. You get the digital one when you earn it, but I now have a physical one. As you know, I'm also a certified specialist. So depending on the combination of certificates we hold, we can earn a little extra things. All right. There are currently 4 ACHs. Again, I will be hosting sessions exactly like this for all of them. Again, on the 4th, I'll be doing a brand new one that is not yet listed because it publishes that day. So it goes live at 8 a.m. I'll be going live at 9 a.m. to run this session. We're in the Rovo one right now. There's one on Forge. I don't do Forge. I'll need help with that one. There's one on Loom, and there's one on Jira Service Management. So there are more options for these. Lance, good luck. Win the meeting. I hope you found this useful. Looking forward to see you in a couple of weeks. But on Rovo, we've got our agents, we've got our chat, we've got our search. We have knowledge cards in Confluence. We have definitions of terms. We can define them and adjust the definitions if we need to. We can use it to summarize a page. I can open up Rovo from here and go to my chat and say, summarize the page. And in one click, get a quick summary. I can do the same thing on Jira work items. I can do the same thing on comments. So anywhere there is text, I think about Rovo helping me. Rovo, again, the agents can be tied into an automation. Every Monday morning at 2 a.m., I want you to analyze everything in Confluence and tell me what has to be archived. Just reminders on what it can do. And then our prompting. The prompt is super important. Those are the instructions for it. So we have our framework, which I'll put back up on the screen, our TCREI. Boop. Task, context, reference, evaluate, iterate. Whew. Okay, I'll see if there's other questions that popped up under there. As a reminder, I'm a professional YouTuber. Any support you can throw my way is appreciated. You can hit the thumbs up or the likes button. You can hit the QR code in the top to see fully recorded Rovo course. Use the code Rovo_ACH for 50% off my course. Sign up for my newsletter. I've got regular updates on this kind of stuff if it's useful. All right. We've got about 10 minutes left. If folks are still taking it, we are here to help. You've got a lot of real smart people in here who can help you, not just me. So please keep asking those questions. Let us know how we can help you be successful. Woo! We got another one. Debashish, I hope I'm saying that right. And you're in New York City. Congratulations. I hope the weather isn't too bonkers over there. Once you pass, hopefully you pass, feel free to drop off. But keep in mind, I'll be back on August 4th at 9 a.m. Running the brand new one. TCREI, it does. As an example of what Rovo can help me do, I might ask it to define an acronym. Make up a definition for this acronym. It should be funny. So I can use Rovo to manipulate or adjust text. I'm glad the weather is better. I'm out here in the Bay Area near Berkeley. It's been a little bit warm. That's as bad as it gets over here. The cat refused every invoice. Amazing. Make 10 more funny ones. So just an example of using Rovo, I can just chat with it to make up funny stuff. Sometimes I do this. The coffee requires extreme investment. That one's funny. I have a tier of membership called Coffee Sponsor. I'll drop a link to that if you're curious. But I typically do early streaming sessions, so I like this one. The coffee requires extreme investment. You can get more information on being a channel member, early access to videos, fun callouts, and perks in my videos. The report content's entirely irrelevant. I like this one. The ticket resolved entirely by itself. The CEO replied, everyone investigate. Okay. Getting distracted by funny acronyms. But as a use case, now there's some other things Rovo has in the bottom of our prompting window, and I'll zoom in on this. I have this plus. This allows me to upload files. I might take a photo of a whiteboard or of a document and have Rovo analyze that or do something. I might add a specific link. I usually just paste these in, but that's our context. That's also something like a smart link. If I want to paste in a link to a Google Doc, it can then get access. Oh, interesting. And some new features that I won't cover just because we're in the middle of our session. I can filter the knowledge sources. So I have the ability to control what Rovo is going to use in its response. By default, all this is turned on, but this is where I could prevent it from saying using Confluence, focus only on Jira. And last, I've got these reasoning models. This doesn't show up on the exam, I don't think, but this allows me to force Rovo to use Think Deeper or Deep Research. It by default will pick the best one, but if I force it to use Think Deeper or Deep Research, it takes longer because it's making more connections. It's grabbing more information to try and help me. So I do have these options of forcing it to use more in-depth reasoning models. I don't know if I was there, Goomba. I stepped out quite a bit. I was up in Seattle yesterday for a Teamwork Collection event. There are more of these going on. They covered Rovo quite a bit. So if you're looking for more advanced use cases of Rovo, I'll see if I can find a link to this really quickly. Is that the one I wanted? That is not the one I wanted. I think this is the one I wanted. Yeah. This is an example of an in-person event. So community champions like Anne will help sponsor these. But these conferences are live events. There was just one in Seattle yesterday I got to go to. There's one in San Francisco on Wednesday. But this is a list of all of them. If you're in one of these locations, these are free. I highly recommend you go to one if you can make it. But a great opportunity to interact with folks. They're not in every city, but you can see there's a pretty good spread. Most locations have one nearby. I was going to try to get to Austin, but I'll be on vacation then, so I'll miss all y'all. All right, folks, 5 more minutes before we're done. If anyone's still taking those exams, please reach out for help. Let us know how we can support you. You got a lot of smart people here who can help you figure it out. Excuse me. And again, this link right here will sign you up for more updates around ACH content. And on August 4th, I'll be coming back to do another one. Personally, I am expecting more ACH coming out of Atlassian. I appreciate how accessible they are. Again, we just saw 24 people earn the Rovo certificate today live. And it's all about knowledge. It's all about learning to use these tools we're stuck using. I was never trained. I had to learn by doing. This would have helped quite a bit because now at least we know the basics. And keep in mind, this is just the basics. We still have a lot more to learn about Rovo. So there's a lot more coming from myself and many other people who know how to make this stuff. And another shout out to my Discord group and WhatsApp, other ways to get support. Goomba, I want one for Jira Fundamentals. I do on my site have something that might help you. So on my learning site, I have a number of paid options. However, I also have a lot of free options. One of the free options I have is a Confluence mini certification. So in 15 minutes, everything you need to know about Confluence. Now, I'll point out that I issue this certification through Hean Tech. This is not an official Atlassian one, but it covers all the basics I can find. Or it's what I think people need in terms of understanding the bare bones basics. I also have one of these on, do I have all of these? One on JQL, JQuil, how to search Jira, and I've got one on Atlassian projects, which is an app that most of us know we have. Or most of us have, but most of us don't know it. All right. Anyone else managed to pass? I saw a lot of great success. That was like, that's going to be the highlight of my week, probably. It was great going up to Seattle to meet people, but seeing so many people be successful earning this thing was just awesome, including folks who I know do not use Atlassian products. We were able to help them get there. Maybe they'll start using them now, though. Like, think of this as a great way to enter it, to understand what's going on. Low risk, it's free, open book, you're learning, you're expanding your skills. All right, not seeing any other questions coming in. Feels like we're slowing down, folks. That was all I had, though, helping people earn this thing. That was really cool. Thank you all for joining. 30 of you stuck around the whole 2 hours, even after you probably passed this thing. Again, doing another one of these on August 4th. And I'll put a link in the chat. Join me on August 4th for the newest ACH. That's going to be, it's not even listed yet anywhere in here, but it's replacing the Atlassian Cloud Foundation's certification. So it'll be called Atlassian Cloud Fundamentals. You're very welcome. So join me here on the 4th. It'll be on my YouTube channel. It'll be recorded, but an opportunity to pass the newest ACH with my friend Christian, who helped lead the team that wrote it. It'll be the same format. We'll go over the learning. We'll make sure you're prepared. We'll all take it together. I haven't taken it yet, so I'll do it live too. You won't see me take it. I'll put that on another screen. But we'll earn it there. And we're giving away $5, $20 or $25 gift cards for food for folks to eat while they're taking it. So definitely, tell your friends, share it with your teams. And otherwise, thank you all for joining. I had a lot of fun doing this. I'm going to do more of these. There'll be 5 of these credentials so far, so be on the lookout for more. And again, like and subscribe to the channel. I've got regular content on Confluence, Atlassian, Rovo. I've got 2 travel logs in the next couple of weeks coming out on my trips. Rodney, my friend, best of luck on your 220. I look forward to your success. Nicola, you're very welcome. And if there's anything else I can do to help folks out, find me on LinkedIn. Go sign up for my newsletter. You'll get regular updates. You can just respond straight to that if you need help. And otherwise, have a great Friday. You're very welcome. Again, more in a couple weeks. I also have other regular shows here on the channel to help folks learn and expand and grow. So thank you all for joining me. Really appreciate all of your time and have a great weekend. And we're going to watch that amazing outro video, folks. So thanks again. Congratulations to everyone who stepped up and completed the challenge. And more.
Systems shouldn't get in our way. They should help us do our job, but learning those tools can feel heavier than it should. Too many topics, too many best practices, especially in the ever-changing Atlassian ecosystem. Not here. You're tuned in to the only frequency that doesn't crash your spirits or your Jira board. Atlassian Learning Simplified. Welcome to Hean.tech. Hean.tech for your learning needs. Hean.tech. Less noise, more clarity. Hean.tech. Fix the system, fix the flow. Hean.tech.
Ready, let's go!